and good morning. It's once again time for the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. Stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything in between. Featuring the guy who tells us that every house has a story, and he knows a lot of them, Home Inspector Jack Milne. I'm Barry Reisman, and Jack, welcome back to the airwaves. How you doing today?
Awesome, Barry. I've been enjoying the summer so far at the beach, and I got to tell you, I'm torched. I just got sunburned, and I used to have this theory that, and being an ex-lifeguard, that if I'm in the sun 2/3 of the time, and I'm in the shade 1/3 of the time, then I really don't get sunburn. But the skin's feeling a little taut right now, especially around the neck and, back under the shoulders. So I know I'll get over it, but, all I can say, folks, is maybe because of the UV rays, just lube up, and especially if you're fair-skinned. But I've been actually working on the weekends, too. So the beach real estate market is busy. And I like doing these inspections on the weekends because, I can bring my family down. We have a house in Ocean City I built way back in 1990, 91. So, the kids can, the kids can go to the beach. I can go to work. I catch up to them on the beach, and then, we share the rest of the day.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
And I've got to say, the prices on the barrier islands have really stabilized. But from what I've been experiencing going down on the weekends now is that what we call 195, that goes from Trenton to Brielle, has been busy. The Garden State Parkway has been busy. The AC Expressway is like a parking lot. So, there seems to be good times. And I think hopefully all the bad times are behind us. But the only thing I need to find are those little back roads nobody knows about. And I know a lot of them when I'm on my motorcycle, but when you're in the car with the family, I got to think about it. So, but back to reality. Today, the email box is revisited for the 7th time, and I've had topics over the past few weeks that kind of took our half hour. But as I promised, today it's your turn, and I hope you're listening to hear your letter and also an appropriate response from the House Whisperer. So before we kick in, I do want to thank my sponsors because, again, without their benefit, I wouldn't be able to chat with you today. So Bucksmont Inspections, Rob Bowie, he's out of Sellersville, Pennsylvania. Fantastic individual and very knowledgeable when it comes to on-site sewage evaluations. So if you flush your toilets and it lands on your property, you want to get these things checked out every once in a while. And it's always better to be proactive than reactive. So with Rob, you can get in touch with him at 215-669-4213. Their website is bucksmontinspections.com. Borough Exterminating, we had Rob Bruno on the air just a couple weeks ago. In fact, I've seen him over the last few weeks, and we always chat about the show. He's at Glenolan, Pennsylvania, and he's at 610-586-5640. Their website is boroughexterminating.com. And, of course, they do cover termite and wood-destroying insect evaluations as well as radon testing. Pest Blaster, Michael Canner out of Hamilton, New Jersey, does a lot of work for us, though, in Pennsylvania. His number is 215-295-5555, and the website is pestblaster.com. Again, his company gets involved with radon testing, mold testing, wood-destroying insect evaluations, and pest removal. BrainFlushGear.com. We are getting ready to head to Eustis, Maine. And so we've got 16 people from as far west as California, as far north as Michigan and Wisconsin who are going to join us. And looking forward to it. But BrainFlushGear.com is the folks that put all of our gear together for us. So you can reach them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com. Coming up within the next month or so is Tri-County Inspection Company's 30th anniversary, July 12th. So we've been serving the public for that long. I can't believe it. I feel old. But you can visit our website at tcinspect.com. Our phone number is locally 215-295-2030. in the Delaware County area, 610-296-2004. Lehigh Valley, 610-346-7880. And for South Jersey, 856-853-4224. So as I always like to say, please let them know that you heard their ad on the show. And for the future, email me at thehousewhispershow@gmail.com. Previous shows, I just checked the website. We are up to actually May 7th, so I'm very pleased with that. And we're going to make sure they're going to be listed monthly at this point. But they can be sought out at thehousewhispershow.com. And, of course, at www.dbam.com. This show will be podcast 24/7 until next Sunday, where I'll be able to start all over again. So I like these episodes because, I try to glean the pile that I get and try to get those that I hope will answer many questions for many listeners. So we're going to start with Gloria from Bucks County. Jack, I'm buying new construction from a national builder. So far, so good, but should I have it inspected? Gloria, any builder, from the small guy to the biggest companies, they build homes to build profits. They do count on others, from the small foreman to the site supervisor, to make sure that the house is going up on a timely fashion and can be delivered typically between roughly 120 to 180 days. But all builders build to minimum standards. There's no maximum standards out there. So unfortunately, as a caveat, custom builders can work with you on a one-to-one basis, but again, they're going to build a better profit and a better product into their builder's fees. So as a township code official, they do stop in periodically, and I have to say that they probably visit not only your home, but maybe 15 others that day. And items can or may not be overlooked. So, Gloria, my advice is your home inspector is an angel in your pocket. They work for you, and they watch out for your family's best interest. And they can perform framing inspections, pre-drywall inspections, and pre-settlement walkthroughs. So most builders today, I find, encourage what we call the pre-drywall inspection. So this is where we get to see all the vitals, and they can be checked before, as I like to say, the skin is put on the bones. So if you have to do any inspections, I would urge that you do this inspection and, of course, the final inspection. And why is that important? Because you're there to focus on what we call fit and finish. Scratches to the countertops, the cabinetry, the hardwood floors, the dings in the drywall, fit and finish, while your home inspector is typically like a busy bee, and he's checking everything out for you in regards to the structural mechanical components. And you're never going to visit the attic where we do. So I think, yes, Gloria, if you spend $1,000, and that's a rough guesstimate, on a $400,000 to a $800,000 home, I think it's the best money you can ever spend. So, Gloria, thank you for sending me your letter, and I'd like to move on to Mark from Hatboro. Jack, just moved into my home, and everything so far has been great. This summer I want to put a fence up. What are your suggestions? Well, Mark, I think the hardest part is to determine what type of fence you want. There's so many different varieties. There's split rail. There's privacy. They're made of wood. They can be made of cedar. They can be made of vinyl. How high do you want it to be? How long do you want it to be? How many gates are you going to put in it? And for what use? And these are just a few of the things that come to mind. But I think the most important item, though, is the survey. And land surveyors will look up your plot plan from the local municipality and come out and stake your property with markers. The fence must, and Mark, I want to emphasize this, must be on your property, and you cannot encroach, of course, on your neighbor's property. So these markers are going to be set up for the left and right and rear of the property. Now, the fence company working off these markers should set the posts approximately 6 inches in from the property line. This way, there's no error in judgment. Now, of course, wood requires maintenance. Vinyl does not. I would suggest that you obtain several quotes as well as referrals, but you also have to be clear as to what you want. So maybe, I was thinking of this, make a copy of your plot plan and lay it out where you want the fence boundaries to be. And then this, I find, will help with your quotes because now you got apples for apples. You can give your boundaries to the surveyor, and then this way you get what you really want. So bottom line, Mark, good luck, and from what I understand, fences make good neighbors. Now, I'm going to do one more, Barry, and then we'll take a quick commercial break.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Susan from Southampton. Jack, we've been in our home for 3 years now. We have a sump pump that seems to work overtime as it discharges in the back of our property. The kids are coming back to the house, and as you can only imagine. My neighbor advised me to hook up the sump pump to the public sewer line in my house. I like the idea. What do you think? Susan, my brother lives in your area as well, and there is a high water table, in the Southampton, Northampton region. Now, my brother told me that there is a $1,000 fine in Southampton if this hookup is discovered. So about 5 years, my brother told me that the township did go from house to house checking on these illegal hookups. And I'm sure, many were fined. The problem is that for the municipality, during heavy rains, they're recycling millions of gallons of extra groundwater that they don't get on dry days. And, of course, the costs to do this go up, which in turn, what that does is raise your taxes. So your decision will carry a degree of risk to it. I mean, I cannot advise anything illegal, but I can tell you that the only county in this immediate area that allows this process is Philadelphia. So, Susan, my thought is why don't you discuss options with an excavator? And so that maybe what he can do is establish a stone pit, maybe 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot deep, fill it with stone, put felt paper over the stone, put topsoil over the felt paper, and then plant some grass seed. So this might work better than doing something illegal, even though your neighbor swears by it. So, Barry, before we go to our next letter again, why don't we jump into our commercial break? And when we come back, we'll let me see, who are we going to hear from next? We have Greg from Cherry Hill.
All right, stand by. We'll hear what Greg has to ask and what Jack has to answer. After we take this little break here, you're listening to the House Whisperer Show every week at this time, right here on WWDB Talk 860.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created T-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com. rainflushgear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers show.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 30 years. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They have performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. Call 215-295-2030 or 856-853-4224.
As the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home, like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house.
Okay, we're back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer at WWDB, and today Jack is jumping into the email box, and a bunch of emails came in, and Jack, let's just go right on to the next one.
Well, thank you, Barry. Yeah, I like doing this, and again, it's I always try to say on the air that this is your show. So I'm glad to get these letters, and again, I do peruse them. I want to try to find something that's useful for everybody. So although I may not get to yours today, I always say please email me at thehousewhispershow@gmail.com, because I think the last time I did this was in March. So maybe every couple of months I'm going to always dedicate a show to you, my listeners. So let's hear from Greg from Cherry Hill. Jack, I have a question on carpenter bees. I don't know about where you live, but my house seems to be overrun by these things. What's your suggestion? Now, that was a really quick question, but inspecting homes, I'm starting to find that these carpenter bees are hovering, and they look like helicopters, and they're about an inch to maybe an inch and a quarter long, and believe me, this is their time. So. First off, Greg, you want to get the problem resolved by a professional extermination company. Pest Blaster is in your area. Guardian is another good company in your backyard. But this is carpenter bee season now, and they will take full advantage of not only older wood, but pressure-treated wood too. And they do drill a perfect, almost half-inch hole. And then what they do is they find the soft sections of the wood, and then they drill sideways, and that's where they lay their eggs. So if you see a small half-inch hole, that doesn't mean that they went straight up. They're going left or right, too. So they're literally drilling your wood. Now, if you start to hear tapping on your home at dawn, that means the woodpeckers are now making larger holes in your wood to eat the larvae. So their holes can be 3 inches to 4 inches round and definitely harder to patch or repair. Now, if you need to, I would suggest that you replace the damaged wood. And there's new products out called AZAC, which is like 100% PVC material. It comes in what we call board dimensions, in other words, 3/4 by 10, 3/4 by 12. And that can be ripped down and installed where your existing lumber was, or you can always cap the wood. Now, even with lumber that is covered by metal. I have seen what we call mustard-colored stains under the wood, and this is an indication that you still have carpenter bees. So I don't know if anything is perfect, but I think due diligence is the best thing to do. So my suggestion would be, Greg, get the property exterminated, get rid of the bees before you get to woodpeckers. But I have found that it does cost about the same amount to paint your home by a professional as it does to cap it. So I think if I were in your shoes, I would cap the material, call it a day, but at the same time take one more extra step for me, and that's open up your soffits, and that's your overhangs of your home. This will help your attic breathe better, which will keep your house more comfortable, not only for the home, but also for your family. And they can put vented soffit panels in those areas. So take full advantage and get rid of those guys. So Dave from Lansdale. I read this one, and man, my brain just went into full gear. Jack, my wife and I live in a turn-of-the-century Victorian. We have young children, and we're thinking of converting the large attic to a playroom. The angles are interesting, but it's so hot. We've talked to a few contractors about ideas, but we wanted to get your thoughts. So I went crazy on this one. I said, Dave, I can picture this space that you have in mind. And my first thoughts are those angled roof lines and small windows in your gables. And honestly, my concern, Dave, is that these windows tend to be too small and too high for fire safety. So for small children, my suggestion would be is let them play all day, but go to bed downstairs. Besides that, let's help you plan this room. So I've got 8 suggestions for you, Dave. First off, you need to update any old wiring. So any knob and tube wiring has to be removed. There's a high risk of fire if you insulate these new joist bays to help reduce the temperatures, both winter and summer. And so any old wiring that you come across should be updated. The second thing I would suggest is to construct knee walls at the base of any rafters that you cannot literally walk towards without hitting your head. So, you may shrink the size of the room a little bit, but at the same time, if it's dead space, the knee walls actually give us a benefit by insulating and, again, making this room more comfortable. Now, the third thing is with the contractor, you need to plan your insulation strategies to reduce the temperature changes that will occur between summer and winter. And it's not unusual for these temperatures to change as much as 100 degrees. So it could be easily 140 degrees in this attic over the summer and down to maybe 45 to 50 degrees over the winter. So you want a good insulation base in your joist bays. Again, you want to let the insulation come up the knee walls. You must have ventilation via the use of air vents in your rafter bays at what I call the slants, where you start to angle your roof line. You need ridge vents at the very peak, and you need insulation across your collar ties. So, it may change the look of the room a little bit, but it's going to make it a lot more comfortable. The fifth suggestion for you, Dave, is I would suggest what we call a split system. A split system is a small heat pump that can provide heating and cooling, and it won't tax your existing heating and or cooling season of what you have in the home. And you may have seen one of these where you've gone to a restaurant, and it's roughly 1.5 feet tall by maybe 3 foot wide, and it works from a remote. It's very low voltage. You do need to have it drained, so any condensation from the split can go to an external drain. It cannot be tied into your vent stack, for your plumbing needs. So that takes a little bit of thought as well. You can sometimes take it right to your gutter. So those systems run in the neighborhood of about $3,000, but again, it's easy to install, and it provides year-round comfort. Now, my sixth point is have an electrician run a service panel to this space for your electrical needs, because sometimes it's easier to run maybe a 40-amp wire from your primary panel in the basement and work it all the way up into your attic environment and mount a sub-panel. That way, you can offer power to the split. You can you can have enough receptacles and switches and PlayStations and everything else that your kids want. Maybe speakers for you. Okay, no. Let me plant that seed for the future. Think about it now, because it's a lot easier to do when the things that are when it's raw than when it's finished. Now, what's very important for small children, and I see tend to be overrated sometimes, are railings on your stairwells and your landings. Because keep in mind, little children have little hands. So you want to make sure that they can hold onto something that's graspable. And a lot of times with these older homes, the riser of which you the tread of which you step on tends to be narrower, but the riser is also higher. So the risk is not going up into the space, it's actually coming down from the space. You got to think about that too. I would absolutely urge that you update the windows, because again, get rid of those 100-year-old windows, and again, if the windows are close to the floor, you may need to consider tempered glass or other safety options. In closing, Greg, if you do this right, the playroom for the kids is going to become your hideaway years from now. You want to talk to your architect. You want to talk to your general contractor. So please keep those emails coming. I love helping people in multitudes of ways. Next week, we're going to talk about exterior cladding and how some simple maintenance will keep our homes safe and warm. So until next week, please spend time with friends and family, and we'll talk to you on the House Whisperer Show.
And next week, it's another edition of the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. You can listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. Barry Reisman here. Thanks so much for listening to WWDB Talk 860.
Is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so